Imagine a world where homeless shelters will stay operational all the time and public parks will stay clean, while lonely senior citizens will benefit from regular social activity. Every high school student required to do community service before graduation will lead to this reality. Critics claim required volunteering fails to achieve the true spirit of civic contributions, but fails to recognize all of the benefits such as program creates students who participate in mandatory service develop responsibility skills while gaining practical life abilities that help them succeed in the world. The argument that requires community service is both unfair and in ineffective fails to recognize its value because it builds essential skills while connecting youth to their communities, thus leads to lifelong civic engagements. To begin, critics argue mandatory community service programs are both unjust and inefficient. The program generates excessive stress on students who must balance work in community with academic requirements and domestic responsibilities. Nia Chen notes in unconventional routes to community service and inspirations that high school volunteering does not need to follow traditional pathways. The required hours for graduation can be transformed into life-changing experiences when you discover alternative community service opportunities that lead to passion, ignition, and perspective expansion and enduring social impact. This evidence is paraphrased. The issue stems from how schools handle the requirement rather than requirement itself. Schools could permit students to develop their own community service initiatives, which include social media advocacies for nonprofit, along with peer tutoring during breaks and service hours approval for part-time jobs accompanied by reflective learning. When service opportunities are flexible, the experience shifts from being a burden to an empowering force. Next, the practice of mandatory volunteering leads proponents to argue that it suppresses authentic community-oriented behavior in students. People believe that forced participation in these programs generate negative feelings instead of empathy. Dr. Emily Davidson, as quoted in Dinesh Singh in The Transformative Power of Volunteerism, explains that students who volunteer tend to become more motivated when feeling more engaged in schoolwork and developing a clear sense of purpose in their studies. People tend to resist new experiences until they personally experience them, according to research findings. A tutoring obligation may start with students frustrating, but witnessing their 2D succeed will bring both students a sense of accomplishment. The necessity of starting with an initial push reveals that many students need this motivation to discover the satisfaction of helping others. Furthermore, the requirement of community service should exist for graduation because it delivers essential life and career abilities to students. Modern workforce success demands essential skills, which volunteering helps students to develop through teamwork, along with leadership abilities and time management proficiencies and problem-solving capabilities. The Corporation of National and Community Service (CNCS) study shows that employers strongly support volunteer experiences because 82% of them report it enhances their hiring and promotion processes, according to Dinesh Singh in The Transformative Power of Volunteerism. Students who must participate in events, organizations, and mentorship or community cleanup activities develop attributes that distinguish them in hiring processes. Students gain skills that match academic credentials in terms of value for future career prospects. Moreover, through community service, students find new interests while building relationships with their local community. Different projects allow students to discover hidden interests which they have no previous knowledge of. Lia Chen explains in Unconventional Routes to Community Service and Inspiration how she discovered her life mission and environmental preservation potential through the through organizing coastal cleanups and promoting substantial community practices. The meaningful experiences demonstrate that community work produces lasting personal and professional objectives. Students develop into active citizens who possess awareness and passion stem from the actual practice of volunteering beyond the minimal requirements. Finally, although some people view mandatory volunteerism as pointless or unfair, the graduation requirements for community service deliver substantial and more advantages than disadvantages. The practice of community service develops essential life competent, com- competence and supports individual development as it creates citizens who actively participate in their communities. Students can complete their service requirements through flexible pathways which will allow them to express creativity and help them to develop their reflections. Community service implemented with proper guidelines transforms into a fundamental experience that launches students towards lifelong impact creation, and thus it would be mandatory for high school students to do community service. All my evidences are paraphrased from the sources because the rubric said it would be better to do that, and in a sense, and also I cited external. I paraphrased the external site. I thank you.